G'day everyone, my name's David. I'm actually Paul's identical twin. I know we look exactly the same, we even sound the same, but you'll notice that yeah, I've got no hair whereas he's got long hair. That's a load of crap. I cut my hair off because I went all practical and I just decided to go pretty much shave it. And look at that, can't hide my age any longer. Yeah, the long hair had to go, it was looking a bit patchy. Anyway, I thought in this video I'd just do a process of me drilling a guitar pedal. I get quite a few questions about drilling guitar pedals, and I thought if I had a video of just me actually doing one start to end, you know, it might answer some questions for you. So I'm going to be drilling a couple of fuzz faces that I'm building. This is one that I've just drilled, and it fit quite well. And this is one that I did last week actually, so that's the aim that we're going for. I'm not doing any graphics or anything. It's just going to be a plain box with that. You might not be able to see in this light, but it's got that. It's Granny Smith and it's got a sparkle in it as well. Looks pretty cool anyway. So the first thing you got to do is print off. Well, the first thing that I do is print off the Mad Bean template and cut it out like this. I've obviously printed on an A4 piece of paper. Cut it out and stick it onto the enclosure so it looks like that. You just stick it around, line it up nicely and stick it on. Highly recommend using a template. If you don't use a template and just guess where the knobs are going to go, it's impossible to line it up properly. It just won't line up properly. So yeah, use the cut out the template. You'll get a better alignment with your drill holes. So I just use a center punch and a hammer, and because the template that I'm using is kind of like it's a no battery option. I'm not going to have a battery in this one, so you can see that the 3-pole double throw is right down the bottom there. There's no room for a battery, and also because it's just kind of a standard template, you can approximate with where you're going to put where you're going to put your pots. I know I just said use a template to make sure it's aligned properly, but it's got little like dotted lines and things, so you can still get pretty accurate. Like for instance, these are a little bit too far apart, like they're right on the edge of the pedal. I'm going to actually move them in a bit, so instead of hitting the middle, I'll probably just go across 2 dots both ways like that. And also I'm putting my LED down the bottom here next to the 3-pole, so you know, I'm just going to use that as a rough guide. Actually, I might just get the ruler and draw the line across so I can line it up properly and then just whack it in there. So just hit with your center punch on the spots that you need, depending on whether you're going to put your power on the side there too. Mad Bean puts his the DC jacks on the side there. I don't actually put them up the top. It's just personal preference. So yeah, obviously make sure when you hit those two, if you're not doing that one, don't hit a hole on that one, because you're going to have a punch hole where you're not going to be drilling a hole. Okay, so that's all the holes punched, and you just pull off this template now. And also don't worry too much if you've hit one that looks a bit rough, because it's not permanent. You can just drill next to the punch hole, but you just got to line the drill up so it doesn't drill where the punch hole is, because it'll want to go into that punch hole, obviously. So now I usually just drill the pilot holes, and I think it's about a 1.5 mil drill bit or a 2 mil drill bit. So if you're drilling these holes and one of them sort of looks a bit out, sometimes your eye is a good judge of if it's not right. So like just drill sort of next to the hole that you've punched instead of on it. So 3 of those holes weren't really lined up properly. You might be able to see on that the punch hole is actually above it. As I was looking at it, I thought that looks a bit too high, so I actually drilled a hole a bit lower. So it is kind of a bit of a guide. That one was the same as well, and the one on the top too wasn't quite lined up center. So yeah, use your eye as well. But the ones on the front, if you've got a row of knobs, they're the ones that you have to be careful with where you drill the hole, because if you've got like 4 knobs in a row, you're going to know if one of them is even a couple of mil out. That's where you've got to be really accurate. But if they're, you know, like the side jacks, they're not lined up with anything else, so it doesn't matter if you're a slight bit out. It's just when you've got a row of you know, like LEDs or knobs, where you've got to be careful with how precise you are with the drilling. So the next thing we're going to do is drill out some of these holes, obviously. So I'll just go with the 3-pole first. Doesn't matter what order you do it in, you can do it in whatever order you like. It makes no difference. So for the 3-pole, we need a 12mm hole, and as I've mentioned in some other videos, I use a step bit, which is nice and gentle. It'll drill out in increments, and this one's 2mm increments. So basically, if you think about like a large, if you're using a large drill bit, like a standard drill bit like this, and you're just going to hit it with, you know, you're going to drill your hole out and then hit it with a 12mm drill bit, it's biting out a heap of aluminium in one hit, and that's when you can actually get the drill bit gets jammed, and the enclosure can sometimes fly off. I've actually, when I used to use these, I actually had the side jack of one of them actually broke, it cracked downwards, and a huge chunk actually came off, and the enclosure went flying across the room. So they're not quite as safe as step bits. I've never had any issues with step bits. They're really safe option, and they're pretty cheap too. I think I got these three step bits for like $20 or something, and I've been using them for years, and they're still going. So yeah, I highly recommend step bits. Most pedal builders use them, I think. So yeah, give them a shot. So yeah, we'll drill out that the stomp switch first, which will be a 12mm hole. And also, if you're using one that's got multiple drill sizes, just count how many drill holes you're going to have to go through to get to the one that you need. So you know, like this one starts at 6. If I'm going to 12, I've got to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Because obviously, if you keep going, you're going to drill out a hole that's bigger than what you actually need, which isn't the end of the world, but it's better just to count than to be careful anyway. So as you may have noticed, I'm not actually using a clamp to hold this. I'm actually using my hand, and I can tell you there would be no way I'd be doing this with standard drill bits. They are just not safe enough, as in the ones that I just showed you before. With step bits, I found that actually clamping them is pretty much unnecessary. However, being an instructional video, I probably should say you should clamp it to make sure, and also make sure that your drill press is on the lowest speed, which mine is set to 500, I think, 625. So yeah, make sure that it's set to the lowest speed that it can do, you know, around 500 or whatever, because you don't want to be going at it full pulp. Also, when you're drilling it, just a tip, sometimes you'll drill down and your drill press won't go low enough to actually get through all the divisions on the step bit. So you know, like, you'll readjust the tray. It's a good idea to actually take the pedal off the tray when you do that, and then readjust it. Might sound overkill, but I've often had, if the collar bit here is slippery, and you're lifting up the pedal, you're lifting up the tray and the pedal's on it, you'll go up too fast and go bang, and you'll actually chip the front of your pedal. So yeah, just a tip to take it off when you actually adjust the when you're messing around with the tray height. So that's the 3-pole double throw hole. I'll just tell you what size these holes are that I'll be drilling. I'm actually going to be using an LED clip for this one, which not everyone uses, but sometimes I use them. That's a little black plastic clip the LED goes in. The bezels will be a different size. You'll just have to keep drilling up 1mm increments to find out what size they are, because they vary as well. But with these particular LED clips, I've found that they're usually 6.5mm, and you have to actually drill them at 6.5mm. I just open it up with this 6.5mm drill bit once I've drilled it out. If you go lower, the LED won't fit, If you go higher, the LED will fit loosely in the hole, so it's a good idea to drill it out to 6.5 mil. The bezels are a different size. Yeah, they kind of vary too, so it's difficult for me to say, but they're usually bigger than 6.5 mil. But don't quote me on that. You'll have to maybe look at the specs for them and you'll see what size you need to drill it out. And then the side jacks too, I said in a previous video that they are 9 mil. They actually vary as well. I've started using Switchcraft and Nutric jacks, and it's pretty much all I use now. And I found that they're actually 10 mil. They could be 9.5, but I just drill them out to 10 mil and they fit pretty good too. So again, depends on what jack you're getting. If you're getting economy jacks, yeah, it could be a different story. And then of course you've just got the pots, and again they vary as well. I'm using 16 millimeter pots, and just alpha pots, and they're 7 mil, and then the top DC jack is 12 mil. So also just one other thing while I'm thinking of it, if you find that it's starting to chip around the edge when you're going through, it's not the end of the world, because the washers usually cover a little bit of chipping. But if it's chipping bad, as I said in one of the previous videos, use some painter's tape. This is just, you know, the stuff you use around windows when you paint it, and put it on the front and press it down hard like that. Make sure it's on hard, and it will reduce the amount of chipping that you'll get. And sometimes it can save a hole from being totally destroyed. So yeah, highly recommend the painter's tape as well. So I'm just going to drill that out now. First hole, and I've already thought of something. With this top hole, the 12 mil DC jack, if you're drilling them up the top here, this is one that you want to clamp, because it's got to sit on the drill press up like this, and you're also drilling a big, it's quite a large hole being 12 mil. So yeah, you're going to want to clamp that down. I don't think you should really hold it like this for obvious reasons. You can see if the thing starts spinning around, you know, your hand could end up in the bit. I mean, these ones on the front are usually pretty safe, you know, like there's kind of more room for it to absorb the drilling action of the drill bit. But the one on the top, yeah, you know, like it can spin around pretty easy. So I use, you can either just use a C-clamp. A little C-clamp will do. You don't have to use anything, you know, heavy duty. Or I put it in a little engineer's vise. This little engineer's vise, it sits in that quite well. So that's the finished drilled enclosure. I'm just going to start whacking the hardware and make sure everything fits pretty well. A common area at the top of these guitar pedals, if you put your DC jack at the top, is if these potentiometers, there's no, like when you put the DC jack in, you can see it's going to hit the potentiometers. So it's usually a bit of a tight squeeze, but yeah, it's pretty much perfect in this situation. But if you have a tighter build, sometimes they can get a bit close. Just open up the holes and move the pots, you know, a couple of mil either side. You know, it's not the best outcome, but it'll get you around. You know, I mean, obviously you don't want to just throw out the enclosure, so just drill the holes out a little bit more. Okay, so that's it. Everything fits pretty well. I might actually lengthen those the ribbon cable from the board, so I can actually fold it back down, and it's a bit neater. So it's kind of hitting the top of the potentiometers. Although that said, it will still fit with the lid on, so maybe I won't. But this one kind of looked a bit neater. It's got longer wires, so you can see it fits bloody perfectly in there like that. Looks spot on. So yeah, I might do that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's just how you do it. Yeah, just make sure you drill the right hole size before you know, like just test it. If you're not sure what the size is, make sure you test the, you know, just do 1 mil at a time and keep testing it to make sure that you're not drilling it out too big. And also, just sort of slightly off topic too, with these boards, make sure they're tested before you wire them up inside the pedal. I cannot stress how important it is to make sure the effect works before you put it in the enclosure. You might be new to this and you're excited to hear what it's going to sound like, but I can tell you, you're gonna end up pulling your hair out if it doesn't work when you put it in the enclosure. It makes it 10 times harder to narrow down where the problem is. If you've got all this off-board wiring, you know, it just adds to the complication of trying to fault diagnose. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of it, and don't forget to subscribe.